So after the very sunny and beautiful Japan, I have returned to the very dull and cold and windy London. But today we are going to look at this guy here. This is the Sandmarc 6x Tele Lens for your smartphone. Hi, it's Cheng here from RED35 and welcome back to my Tech Tuesday and 2 minutes review. And today we are going to look at this really interesting lens right here. This is the 6x Tele Lens for your smartphone. And in particular, I'm testing it on my iPhone 15 Pro Max in Japan. So Sandmarc has been making iPhone or smartphone accessory lenses for quite some time. You may have seen me reviewing some of the lenses before, like the ultra wide, the tele, like a normal tele, and also some macro lenses before. Well, this is the very first time that they do something like this. This is a 6x magnification tele lens that will transform your 24mm main lens into something like 130mm, which is quite good for half-length portraits, including some subject separation. Yes, you don't need to engage portrait mode. You can actually get some proper subject separations there. And also, if you put it onto the tele lens, it will transform something even longer depending on the model that you have. Because on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, you can get some really long shots. But I can tell you a little bit more in just a moment. So, in terms of build quality, this guy here is actually feels very premium. Full metal build, proper glass. It actually weighs a little bit as well, which is quite surprising. And I know I have touched some Chinese knockoffs on Amazon. They sell for like 20-30 pounds, maybe $40, depending on regions. They don't necessarily feel that kind of premium feeling, especially when you consider this focus ring and something like that. The overall construction is very solid, very well built, well put together. So I will praise you for that. So build quality, no complaint there. But what about optically, right? This guy is not cheap. It's around about $100 or £100 you have to buy this, and so it has to perform, right? With that sort of prices. Well, I can tell you right now, it's actually pretty good. From what I tested in Japan, I think a lot of the photos I got was pretty sharp. My only problem is whether it's going to be on the main lens or the tele lens is focusing. Right. This guy here requires a little bit of manual focusing to assist the range, and then the autofocus within the camera will take over. But because of that mechanism, it's quite hard to actually nail the focus. And I find a lot of the time that, especially with your iPhone with no peaking assist and no proper magnification, you can pinch in the zoom in, but they're digital, so you can't quite tell whether you actually get the sharpest point as such. So it's very difficult for me to do on the go or on the fly. In the tele lens, it's even worse because, let me tell you right now, because on the main lens on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it has IBIS. So you can rely a little bit on the stabilization from the camera, so it will stabilize just enough for you to, have a proper look at it. But on the tele lens, without any IBIS, well, you are going to have a hard time trying to focus this lens because it's just impossible. Even when you do focusing, you find that most of your shots are blurred because of the motion blur. So it's going to be a little bit tricky when it comes to focusing. So in practicality terms, I actually think that this guy, while optically is quite decent, is quite hard to use. So with that said, even though this can be a very interesting proposition for any smartphone users who may want to get a slightly longer shots or slightly close-up shots, but in reality, you may have to employ some sort of tripod to stabilize your system. And to be honest, I've tried it many times on the maximum tele lens range, which I rarely get anything usable, but I still get something quite okay with the main lens just because of the IBIS built-in. So if your smartphone hasn't got any stabilization within the sensor or the lens within the smartphone itself, and you're going to have a hard time trying to focus this lens. But overall, if I just rate it optically, I think this is quite decent. I wouldn't say it's the sharpest, perhaps because I just couldn't focus properly, but is actually pretty okay. But what I can say about rendering is that it does have the kind of unique swirly bokeh behind the autofocus area. So this is kind of interesting. It almost reminds me of some of these lithography or one of these passable lenses that I kind of like before. It may not be everybody's taste, but to me certainly it gives you that kind of little bit of an artistic edge to it. So if you like that kind of look, this may be a lens for you. So that's it, folks. This is my 2 minutes review on the Sandmarc 6x Tele Lens for your smartphone. I really enjoyed this lens when I was in Japan, and I took some really nice Sakura shots, and yeah, it just really kind of interesting to me in terms of rendering and things like that. It is a little bit hard to use, I must admit, because of the focusing and also stabilization wise, depending on what lenses I was mounting on. On the Tele Lens, it's impossible to get any sharp shots, and because of the shape that I have. I didn't bring a tripod with me, so it's really hard for me to do that. But even so, you know, with my family and things like that, I don't think they would have the patience for me to set up everything and do it properly. And I'd just rather take my camera out and just take a shot like that rather than using the Tele Lens here. But having said that, I think the rendering is pretty interesting. The Swarry bokeh certainly reminds me of the Petzval lenses that I have from lomography. So if you like that kind of look and aesthetic, and this is a unique proposition right here. Without having to spend hundreds of pounds to getting that sort of lenses, you can simply use this and your smartphone and always done. And one last note is that Sandmarc does make other accessories for your smartphone as well, which requires for mounting these lenses on your smartphone, for instance, because you use a specific screw mount, so you need to use either clip-on adapter or a phone case. So they do make dedicated phone cases for iPhone and Galaxy phones. I'm not so sure about other models, but I'm going to put the link in the description so you can check that out yourself. But in the meantime, if you like this sort of thing, remember to stay tuned for other contents I may have in the future. But until next time, remember what to do now. Thumb if you like this video and sub if you want to stay in touch with everything about gadgets and photography related stuff. Until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now. Peace. Welcome to the bonus sections, and yes, I did like the Sandmarc 6x lens here because it is unique. You know, you can't get anything like this on the market, especially when it comes to optical quality and also rendering. I find the Swarry bokeh is kind of interesting to me because, yeah, it really does remind me of the Petzval lens from lomography that I also have. But if you like that kind of look and that sort of aesthetic, you don't need to spend hundreds of pounds to getting that lens. You can simply get something like this and mount it on your smartphone. You can get similar sort of look and feel, which is kind of cool. I really like that. And Sandmarc is also making a lot of accessories as well for your smartphone, for instance cases and other things, you know, like camera mounts and rig and things like that. So they do a whole range of stuff. If you're interested, I'm going to put the link in the description. But also remember that this lens does require a mount, which is a screw mount, to mount it on whatever phone you have. So you either need to use a clip-on adapter or a dedicated phone case. Sandmarc does make a whole range of cases for iPhones and Galaxy phones. That's all I know so far. I don't think they make for other, like Huawei, for instance. I don't think they make cases for those, but you can use a simple screw-in adapters and clip on to your phone directly. So that also works as well. So anyway, this is really cool. So I hope you enjoy this, and just some of the photos I took. I know that it can be a personal taste things here, but you know, if you like that look, yeah, certainly this is really good for you. So until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.